Marvel insider Charles Murphy has a scoop about Doctor Doom being in Black Panther 2. We're doing a Thanksgiving video. It's like the news, but for nerds. Shout out to Joe Your Boat for having an amazing name. And yes, indeed, The Rise of Skywalker will be 2 hours and 21 minutes long. And yeah, maybe I'll have to shave my head. Make sure you stay to the end of this video where we will ask another nerd card question. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Thanksgiving video. I know I said we weren't doing one yesterday, but this Doctor Doom news is on a short list of things that I would absolutely get on the mic for on Thanksgiving. But if you're out there in the States celebrating Thanksgiving, I honestly hope you're having an amazing Thanksgiving and just incredible holidays in general. I love this time of year. I'm sure you do too, so I hope it's going well for you. Charles Murphy with another scoop. We just talked about him on Tuesday, actually, and he had this scoop about Doctor Doom potentially being in Black Panther 2. So let's sort of frame this correctly, and Charles does a great job on murphysmultiverse.com. You can go check out the article there, but he's talking about how he could not confirm this with a second source. Now, I think he said this is something he heard from multiple sources, but he couldn't confirm any of this stuff with like other sources than that. But still, really interesting stuff. I think Charles Murphy has a pretty good track record with scoops and with breaking different leaks and things like that. So he's definitely someone that's in the know. So coming from multiple trustworthy sources, but neither of these scoops or the things from these sources were confirmed with any other sources. So take that with a grain of salt. And I'm going to read right from the article here. It says right here, Victor Von Doom will begin expanding his empire, conquering parts of Africa, and ultimately come into conflict with the nation of Wakanda and the Black Panther.
No way! No way! No way, sir!
So Charles then goes on to say that this represents the entirety of what he was told. So that's literally all he was told, but that's enough for... Just trust me. That's enough to jump into some speculation, which we're about to do. Charles then goes on to point out some very interesting connections in his article. He's talking about how obviously we don't know much about Wakanda post-Endgame. We don't know how they're going to introduce Latveria or Doctor Doom post-Endgame. And obviously there was some comic book precedence here with a story where Doctor Doom was trying to infiltrate Wakanda, and there's obviously a lot of connections to the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. So there's a lot to jump off of, but that's all the stuff that's in the article. I recommend you go over to murphysmultiverse.com. And honestly, Charles Murphy, if he's going to keep doing scoops like this, we're going to keep talking about him because this is amazing. Now, quickly, before I get into just pure speculation and why I think this is so awesome, I do want to mention that there was another rumor floating around the internet that the title for Black Panther 2 was going to be called Lost Kingdom. And when that scoop was sort of being passed around online, the natural inclination was to think that this would have to do with Namor. So if you don't know, in the comic books, Namor and Black Panther, T'Challa, have a very, very cool rivalry. In fact, they've actually been to war before. So the nation of Atlantis, who is ruled by Namor, has been in direct conflict with the nation of Wakanda, who is ruled by Black Panther. And they just have awesome, like it's just awesome, their rivalry. It's very, very cool. So people automatically thought Lost Kingdom, Namor's going to be introduced in Black Panther 2. Now, it would appear with this scoop that it's probably Latveria, not actually Atlantis, although we obviously can't confirm that. But wow, what a twist, right? What a crazy way to go. And obviously, I'm a massive Doctor Doom fan. I love Doctor Doom. I've been very excited about them getting him back. Actually, more excited about them getting Doctor Doom back than the Fantastic Four, to be honest with you. So this is pretty freaking cool, and of course, it could lead potentially to Secret Wars. If you thought you were getting out of Den of Nerds video without me trying to link this to Secret Wars, you're wrong. Now, what's really interesting here is it says Victor Von Doom will begin expanding his empire. So he's going to have an empire, the Empire of Latveria or something like that. And it's going to be really interesting how they contextualize that. Like, is this a post-Endgame move by Doom to basically solidify and to try to keep his people safe and the planet safe by, like, being their rightful ruler? That feels like a very Doom thing. Or could this all be done in the shadows? Is this all sort of behind the scenes stuff? Because what I think is really interesting here is he's saying that they're conquering parts of Africa and ultimately come into conflict with the nation of Wakanda and Black Panther. Now, in the real world right now, there's something of a shadow war going on in Africa where a lot of big superpower countries are trying to go into Africa and get good relations with these thriving economies because they have a lot of access to like minerals that are very good in tech and different things like that. So like Africa still has this well of very valuable resources, and their economies are actually some of the most fast, or I guess the quickest growing economies on the planet right now. And there's sort of a shadow war going on right now between Western and Eastern powers, China, Russia, US, all of it. So what if they're going to play off that in the movie? What if Victor isn't necessarily arming up troops and coming into Africa and conquering, but he's conquering them through technology? He's sort of doing the shadow war thing with his tech and Latveria to basically conquer Africa. And then what if that puts him into conflict with the nation of Wakanda? You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't have to be necessarily like all out war. And because Doom is Doom, I think it would be more interesting if it's infiltration, if it's a shadow war, and then it comes to a huge conflict, of course, because we want to see Wakanda versus Latveria. Like, are you kidding me? And we know very little of like how Wakanda has dealt with the blip, the absence of half of their people and their rightful king, and the state of the world. Like, what's going on with Wakanda exactly? Like, there's a lot of interesting things that will come to play in this film, and I love the fact that they could center that around Doom. That is really interesting. And of course, I'm still on my Dark Avengers theory, and what a way to lead it out, man. If Doom ends up being the benefactor, if Victor ends up like putting the Cabal together or putting the Dark Avengers together, like, wow, mind-blowing stuff. And what a perfect way to introduce this character and what he is about as we head to Secret Wars. Because if they do Secret Wars with God Doom, one of the important things about that story is you have to have it established that Doom isn't the best of dudes. So he's like thinks of himself as noble, and in some ways you can empathize with what he is doing and what he wants to do, but you also know he's like just willing to cross any line, like he's just not a good dude. And so when that guy becomes God of everything, and you see him trying to be a good God, but his flaws, the flaws of Doom, coming through and sort of wrecking that, man, that's what's magical about watching that character, God Doom, sort of deteriorate throughout Secret Wars. So I'm very excited if they can actually set up Doom in this kind of a setting and then prime us for what might happen in Secret Wars. Like, I'm all for it. I'm very excited. And frankly, I'm just going to say it. If you're like not excited about the future of the MCU right now, you're just doing it wrong. Like, you're literally doing it wrong. You are looking at the wrong things. We've barely scratched the surface of all of the amazing comic book stories that we can tell now. We've got Dr. Doom back. Holy crap, Dr. Doom. In Black Panther 2, I can't believe it. Honestly, tonight when we're having Thanksgiving dinner and we're going around the table talking about what we're thankful for, I am going to be thankful of the possibility of Dr. Doom being in Black Panther 2. And now let's check the nerd card before we get out of here. I want to know, what is the name of that Marvel comic story where Dr. Doom began infiltrating Wakanda? It's a pretty popular one. A lot of people have brought it up recently. What's the name of that Marvel comic story? Answer that question in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating that, and if not, just Thursday or whatever day you're watching this. And I'll see you in the next video.